Long before empires arrived, Afghanistan already belonged to the mountains and the wind. For centuries, Afghanistan stood between the richest empires of Asia and the world. Many armies crossed these mountains, but very few ever truly conquered them. Far away in British India, fear slowly spread across the empire's highest offices. Britain and Russia now competed for control across the heart of Central Asia. As Russian influence expanded southward, British leaders feared India could become vulnerable. To British officials, Afghanistan became the shield protecting the riches of India. In Kabul, Dost Muhammad Khan struggled to protect his divided and fragile kingdom. The loss of Peshawar weakened Afghanistan and deepened the Amir's growing desperation. British envoys arrived in Kabul carrying promises, suspicion, and hidden imperial ambitions. When diplomacy failed, both sides slowly began preparing for something far more dangerous. Even the smallest Russian contact now terrified British officials across northern India.
Britain claimed the invasion would restore peace, stability, and legitimate Afghan leadership.
In British India, Lord Auckland finally chose invasion over uncertain diplomacy.
Britain now prepared to restore Shah Shuja as Afghanistan's new puppet ruler.
The army of the Indus gathered with confidence, believing Afghanistan would quickly surrender. In 1839, the British invasion finally began moving toward the Afghan frontier. The Bolan Pass tested the army long before the first major battle even began. High above the passes, Afghan tribes carefully watched every movement of the invasion. Heat, hunger, and exhaustion slowly weakened the invading army before combat arrived. Kandahar fell quickly, but Afghan resentment already began growing beneath the surface. Ahead stood Ghazni, one of Afghanistan's strongest and most heavily defended fortresses. Inside Ghazni, Afghan defenders prepared to resist the approaching imperial army. One hidden weakness inside the fortress would soon decide the entire battle. Under the cover of darkness, British troops prepared to breach the fortress walls. Ghazni had fallen, and the road toward Kabul now stood dangerously exposed. After Ghazni's fall, British leaders believed Afghanistan was finally under their control. In 1839, British forces entered Kabul, believing the war was already won. Driven from Kabul, Dost Muhammad vanished into the mountains beyond British reach. Inside Kabul, many British officers slowly forgot how dangerous Afghanistan truly remained. Britain restored Shah to power, but few Afghans truly accepted his rule. Beneath Kabul's quiet streets, anger against the occupation continued slowly spreading. British power depended heavily upon payments, keeping Afghanistan's tribes temporarily cooperative. When Britain reduced tribal payments, Afghanistan's fragile balance began collapsing almost immediately. Across the mountains, tribal leaders slowly united against foreign occupation and humiliation. By 1841, Afghanistan's mountains were preparing to erupt into full rebellion. Inside Kabul, the occupation stood dangerously close to complete collapse. Akbar Khan, emerged as the rising leader of Afghanistan's growing resistance movement. Alexander Burnes soon became one of the rebellion's first major targets in Kabul. The killing of Burnes shattered British confidence and intensified Kabul's violent uprising. Inside the cantonments, British command slowly descended into confusion and fear. On November 2nd, Kabul erupted into sudden violence and uncontrollable rebellion. Weak leadership now left the British Army trapped inside an increasingly hostile Kabul. As winter arrived, British forces found themselves trapped and increasingly isolated in Kabul. Facing disaster, British commanders finally agreed to abandon Kabul and retreat eastward. In January 1842, nearly 16,000 people began the retreat from Kabul. The retreat column moved slowly through snow, exhaustion, fear, and growing confusion. Without warning, Afghan fighters struck the retreating army from the surrounding cliffs. Within hours, the retreat descended into freezing confusion and uncontrollable panic. From the mountains above, Afghan fighters turned the retreat into a deadly slaughter. The freezing mountains destroyed animals, supplies, and any remaining British organization. Thousands of civilians now suffered, besides soldiers trapped inside the deadly retreat. Every freezing night weakened the survivors and strengthened Afghanistan's merciless mountains. One by one, the retreating army abandoned weapons, supplies, and any remaining discipline. Akbar Khan now controlled the mountains surrounding the retreating British survivors. The retreat path soon transformed into a frozen graveyard across the Afghan mountains. Starvation now spread through the retreat faster than the Afghan bullets themselves. The narrow mountain gorges offered perfect killing grounds for the waiting Afghan fighters. Every cliff above the retreat became another deadly source of unstoppable gunfire. The British retreat no longer resembled an army, only a desperate mass of survivors. The wounded froze where they fell as the retreat continued without mercy. Even experienced officers could no longer control the collapsing retreat through the mountains. The mountains themselves now seemed determined to destroy every remaining survivor.
I implore you, consider the terms we have laid out. We cannot survive another night in this cold.
By now, the retreat resembled ghosts wandering through Afghanistan's endless winter wilderness. Only a handful of survivors now remained alive as they reached Gandamak. Near Gandamak, the final survivors prepared for one last hopeless stand. The survivors soon realized they were running out of both ammunition and hope. The final British volley echoed briefly before the mountains fell silent once again. Moments later, Afghan fighters launched the final assault against the trapped survivors. At Gandamak, the retreating British army finally ceased to exist as a fighting force. Only one wounded rider continued moving eastward through Afghanistan's frozen wilderness. Behind him, thousands had vanished forever inside Afghanistan's deadly mountain passes. When the gates opened, the British garrison saw only a single surviving rider,
The story he carried revealed one of Britain's greatest military disasters. They cut them down one by one. All of them.
Across the empire, Britain struggled to understand the scale of the Afghan disaster. The mountains remained silent after consuming nearly an entire invading army.
Humiliation soon transformed into demands for revenge across the British Empire. Britain prepared another invasion, this time driven by vengeance instead of confidence.
The returning British army marched through Afghanistan with brutal and calculated vengeance. The British returned to Kabul, but victory now felt empty and deeply haunted. Among the ruins, British prisoners were finally rescued after months of uncertainty. Kabul's Great Bazaar burned as British revenge consumed the occupied city once again. Britain finally accepted that Afghanistan could not be permanently controlled through occupation. By late 1842, the British Empire finally withdrew completely from Afghanistan.
After Britain's withdrawal, Dost Muhammad eventually returned once again to power.
After the invasion ended, Afghanistan slowly began rebuilding from the scars of war. Britain slowly recognized how badly it had misunderstood Afghanistan and its people. Empires came and vanished, but Afghanistan and its mountains endured beyond them all. The destruction of the retreat soon became one of history's most haunting war stories. The mountains remained as silent reminders of the empire that once challenged them. Despite the disaster, the great game between empires continued across Central Asia. For years afterward, Afghanistan remained a haunting memory for British soldiers and commanders. Afghanistan revealed limits that even the world's greatest empire could not overcome.
The First Afghan War became a lasting warning about invasion, empire, and resistance.